Oh, it's Thursday. Okay. Wrestling news. Sting teases a match with The Undertaker. We have an AEW World Title match update, and Becky Lynch reveals her original pitch for WrestleMania. We'll get to that soon. Look in my eyes, what do you see? CM Punk. Oh, no, it's not that one. It's the other one, isn't it? Sting and The Undertaker. That's happening now. That's a thing. We'll tease that until the end of time. You see, now CM Punk has kind of, sort of, technically returned to WWE. We can't really tease a return anymore for him, so we have to look to our other favourite trope, which is Sting versus The Undertaker. And I'm sorry, Sting, if you're going to keep putting hints out there, we're going to keep biting. Sting been on Twitter last night. He tweeted something from the 80s wrestling Twitter account, which I follow, because it's great. You just get loads of pictures of some of your favourites in Zubaz. It's a lovely Twitter account. They posted a picture of Sting on a motorbike in the old, it's old Surfer Sting as well. Looks cool as. And they put the caption, "Who wants to take a ride with Sting?" Sting saw this, quote retweeted it, edited the caption a bit and said, "Who wants to take a last ride with Sting?" Oh, Last Ride? That's the name of The Undertaker's documentary. And the finisher that he had in 2000 when the pile driver was banned for a bit. So we're back on the tease train for Sting versus The Undertaker. Now, as daft as it sounds, this still isn't a match out of the realms of possibility. It really isn't. The Undertaker has retired in bunny rabbit ears, but it was such a casual retirement. It was kind of, it's like partners breaking up but becoming friends with benefits, in the sense that Undertaker is gone. I'm retired now. I'm done. I don't want to get in the ring again. Unless Vince needs me to, then I will. It's proper friends with benefits, that is. So don't be surprised if we continue these teases till time memoriam, or until it finally happens at a Saudi Arabia show in the not too distant future, where we do get Sting versus The Undertaker. Do we need it? Oh, don't know if we do. Will it be any good? Oh, I mean, It'll be two entrances and a pose, and then everything else will just happen, I guess. I sound really defeatist on the idea of Sting versus The Undertaker, and I'm sorry, but it's just something I really, really wanted in like 1999. Like, my teenage wrestling fan brain will have exploded at the thought of that happening, but never say never. Meanwhile, in 2020, Jon Moxley and Brian Cage were scheduled to kick each other's heads in next week on night 2 of Fyter Fest, and as we discovered last night on night 1, that's not happening. Taz came out, cut one heck of a promo, did Taz, on Jon Moxley, because Jon Moxley, there was some concerns because he'd been near somebody who had COVID-19, so he took some time away from AEW, and it looks as if now it's going to be a little bit longer whilst he is off. And Taz even says during the thing that Jon Moxley's away just as a precautionary measure for AEW. He didn't want to bring COVID-19 to the tapings for Dynamite, so he's off, and that match they were scheduled to have on night 2 is now not happening. It has been rescheduled for Fight for the Fallen on the 15th of July, which isn't a massive amount of time away, a couple more weeks, and then we're there. So it does question, is Moxley going to be alright for that? Because it's only a couple of weeks away. I can't see why he wouldn't be. But it's a shame this match isn't happening next week. I know that was a big part of the draw for night 2 of Fyter Fest. But we've got Chris Jericho Orange Cassidy next week. That's your main event right there. It should be absolutely fine. In fact, even with Moxley versus Brian Cage off the card for next week, Fyter Fest Night 2 still looks like a beefier prospect than Great American Bash Night 2. So next week for Great American Bash, we know for a fact that we've got a street fight between Mia Yim and Candice LeRae, and we've got the WWE, one of them, Granville Fetcher Cloth, the NXT World Heavyweight versus the NXT North American Championship match. We've got both of those, but that's all we have announced for Great American Bash Night 2. So much fuller card for Fyter Fest Night 2. But hey, look, we won't talk anymore about Fyter Fest or Great American Bash, because we're going to talk about it later on today on the Cultaholic YouTube channel. Myself and Jack will be grading NXT and AEW's products respectively, and Ross will be here with your AEW TF moments from Fyter Fest Night 1. That is on the Cultaholic YouTube channel a bit later on. 3 massive events taking place in wrestling this week. We had Fyter Fest Night 1, we had NXT Great American Bash Night 1, and today it is the quarterfinals of the New Japan Cup. It's all kicking off, Your Honor. Tomohiro Ishii versus Hiromu Takahashi. Yes, please. Okada versus Ishimori. Yes, please, and thank you. Taichi versus Sanada. Yes, please, with bells on. Yoshihashi versus Evil. I'll have what she's having. 4 massive matches in the New Japan Cup quarterfinal. I think, however this tournament shakes down, it's gonna be a really cool semi-final. I've seen so many new people discovering New Japan over the last week or so. I've seen lots of people on my Twitter timeline who wouldn't normally talk about the New Japan Cup. Obviously, with a lot of people having downtime, and the timing for the New Japan shows, particularly in the UK, is amazing. It's like lunchtime. It's brilliant. You can have a lovely sandwich whilst watching Evil and Okada beat the heck out of each other. Like, that's nice times. Samoa Joe has been getting all the praise on commentary for WWE Raw. He's been a bit of a revelation, hasn't he, on comms? In fact, I think he's got potentially more than just comms in his back pocket. Ross said this on the WTF moments for Raw when Joe was stood there in the middle of the ring in his suit with the contract signing going on. GM Joe? GM Joe, that's a thing. Samoa Joe was on the bump talking about his time on commentary, and he gave us a little indicator as to what Vince McMahon thinks of his work behind the commentary desk. Joe said, "I've had zero media aspirations. I just drift through life and things just hit me as they come. I got on the commentary table and it was funny when the light shined on me, I started to hear angels sing, and I said to myself, you know, this might be a good fit." I then put the headset on and Vince came through and said, "You know, this feels right." And I was like, I know. It's been a weird journey, but I'm still on it. It's an odyssey and a quest. I'm just trying to take the world along with me. I have a very descriptive mind. When I see things, my observations are quick to come right out of my mouth. So yeah, it's been working out very well. It's been working out really, really well. I've loved seeing Samoa Joe doing commentary on Raw. Obviously, Joe is a phenomenal performer as well. That goes without saying, but hey, there's nothing wrong with adding new strings to your bow, and massive love to Joe for some of the stuff he's been doing on comms. Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane, aka the Mayor of Knox County, in the news today, because the Knox County board got together to decide whether or not masks should be mandatory in Knox County. The vote came back as 7-1 to yay. There was 1 nay, and the one person that said, no, we shouldn't wear masks was, you're there before me, it was Kane. It was Glenn Jacobs. Now, I'm not going to make the joke about, oh, why is Kane worried about masks? It's low-hanging fruit, to be honest. What I will suggest, though, is maybe now Kane can form a team with Austin Aries and Low-Key. Call themselves the Covidiots. Just an idea. Somebody put that on Twitter. I can't claim Covidiots. Somebody else put that. I have a feeling it was my mate Stephen. If it was Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. Bobby Lashley, but not Finalamo. Becky Lynch has been on the Bellas podcast talking about the last couple of weeks of her time in WWE before she went to go and become a mother. She talks about some ideas that she pitched as well around WrestleMania. So as we know, WrestleMania panned out with Becky Lynch beating Shayna Baszler for the Raw Women's Championship, beating to retain her title. The plan then, as we saw unfold, was that Asuka won Money in the Bank, and then Becky Lynch handed the belt to Asuka, then went home to become a mother. This wasn't the plan. We've talked about the original plans in place before. It was scheduled to be Becky still beating Shayna, but then having Shayna win Money in the Bank, have Becky have a feud with Nia Jax, and then at SummerSlam, then you do Shayna and Becky, and then you have Shayna beat Becky. That was the plan that WWE had, but Becky had other things in mind. So here's a quote from the Bellas podcast that Becky Lynch was on. She said, "So we started trying to have a baby, and I just thought it would take a long time, and it didn't. We were super lucky. It happened before I would have expected, and I was still the champ at the time, which I actually thought I was going to lose the title at WrestleMania, which I also pitched But that's neither here nor there. You know, plans change. So Becky Lynch goes into a bit of detail on this, saying how she wanted to lose to Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania. She wanted to drop the title to Shayna and then step away from there. But the reason that ended up not happening was because WWE wanted a face Raw Women's Champion. So enter Asuka and enter the story that they had. Interesting little addendum to that as well. Becky Lynch says, I really didn't want to be marketed as the mom. That's the one thing that I told Colby, Seth Rollins. I was like, man, they're going to make me the mom. I know it. And he was like, no, they're not. And as soon as I said it, a friggin' t-shirt came out. Make the money. She handled it in her stride, actually. She put out on Twitter saying, look, I'm going to need money for diapers and rusks soon enough. So buy this t-shirt. More news with Jack a little bit later on today. And of course, as we say, AEW, NXT graded, and the WTF moments from Fyter Fest Night 1 as well. All on the Cultaholic YouTube channel later today. That video is there as well. That looks great. There's a brilliant bit 5 minutes in, which you need to see to believe. Go check that out. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.